I turn it off when I put it in my pocket? Oh yeah.
Luckily got the barge out of the water before it hit Hell's Gate.
Yeah, all the way down there. Oh.
Yeah, crazy, eh? Truck's still there. Or so they say.
Well, that fucking been there, right?
Actually a whole farm back there. They had an orchard. There used to be an old road and aqueduct that was like all over both sides. So you can see like looks like an old game trail. Just it's like clearing over here. You see that word on the line. I think that was the old aqueduct. And then this whole thing belongs to the Nickman band now. And there was actually a long time talk of building a bridge right here, but they just didn't have the funds. Yeah, you can. The foundations and stuff are still there, but the cabin, you can tell that there was something there. I think there's like an old stove or something. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, the sheep love it back there because whoever farmed it must have, cut down enough trees that it's all just cheatgrass back there.
A lot of hard work back there.
Oh yeah. Crazy.
So that makes sense. That's what that straight line is.
Yeah, it runs like all the way along. No, the Golden Trail was all on this side of the river. Yeah. Right. Well, folks, we figured it out. We're live. Sheep up there in that little meadow. And a couple more further up on the hill. Yeah.
When's your guys' last run on?
Last day of booking is Thanksgiving Monday. October 12th, yeah. People don't really come. I mean, it's really nice rafting in September and October. The water's still super warm, so even if the air's not that warm, you really don't get that cold. Like the water will stay above 15 degrees until like mid-November. Yeah, here and there. The team gets quite small that time of year. We ask most folks to stay around until Labor Day weekend and then kind of let them go as they wish. A lot of school groups in September, private schools, Lower Mainland, Kelowna and stuff. And then we do weddings most falls as well. We got a big wedding in September. Fountain View?
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, you know him? Never met him. Call this stretch here the $1 million mile. like concrete wall area. So when they first built the highway through here, they used these corrugated steel retaining walls, like sand and gravel, and it didn't work at all. But before the highway was here, that slope over there just continued, and that was the shore of the river. And yeah, there's a few reasons why it didn't work. Main one is the water here at high water is so strong, it would peel away that corrugated steel like a banana peel. Eat away out of that main to wash it away. And the vibrations from the rail line shake the loose silt enough that it kind of pushes the road into the river. So they tore it down and replaced it with what we got now. And we got all these little nubs sticking out, or end caps of steel pipes that are cemented into the bedrock of the mountain, preventing it from getting pushed in. They got all the riprap down here, all this engineered rock, slowing the water down before it hits the wall. So it's about, over its lifetime, about $20 million for this 1.5 kilometer stretch of road. Opens on 28, real soon. And I reckon Sockeye open this year here as well. Yeah, well, I was camping. You're doing a lot more fishing out here though. Oh yeah. I went back to Ontario last summer to work at the summer camp I used to go to. Managing their expeditions and stuff, and I didn't bring any of my fishing gear out. I was like, oh, there's no fishing that lake or whatever. When I got there and I got the H-Drill badge, so I started fly fishing. Kind of justified, didn't have to buy more gear I already had. Just fly fishing some smallmouth bass all summer, it was awesome. I was fishing like 3 hours a day. Yeah, sweet. Hold it on, folks. Crash pictures in between your legs there. Perfect. kind of the gold company. So Hudson Bay paid for a lot of it. And then it was kind of like a community effort. Get this road built, get out here and start finding gold. A lot of the prospectors would be financed by a company and have to pay them a decent share of the gold they found. They found most of the gold along the Fraser River. Quite a bit in here as well. Mainly down near the Nicomen River. Nicomen Log. Depends on who you talk to, but that little section there, that's what really sparked the gold rush. The Nicomen band started finding gold in the river. They let the Hudson Bay Company know. Hudson Bay Company was just then the first reported descent of the river. And once they had enough of it, they sent it on a boat down to San Francisco, and 30,000 people came up over the next year to find some gold. And there's a little chunk of the Caribou Wagon Road just over there. Right where I'm pointing the boat. You can see that retaining wall. All those stacked around rocks. The road is that ridge just beneath it. That there would have been preventing the hillside from collapsing on top of the road. And while they were building the road, they ran into a lot of issues with how hot and dry it was here. Jackass Summit just south of Lytton gets its name because all the jackasses, the donkeys and mules, would die or pass out getting to the top of the hill. So one family decided to try something a little different. They imported 23 camels from the San Francisco Zoo. Sorry? From the zoo, yeah. And all female. They brought them up to Victoria, paraded them through the streets, and they got their first taste of the temperament of the camels when one spit about 2 gallons of mucus all over a lady. 2 of them ran off, never to be seen again. And when they put them to work on the road, they realized it wasn't the best decision. Camels' hooves have evolved to walk on sand, not on sharp rocks, so it's really, really soft. Getting all chewed up. They're really difficult to work with. They spit, they kick, they bite, they blow stone rockets all over you. Exactly. There's a pheromone in their sweat. It causes the other animals to go berserk. So there's like sections of the Fraser, right? On the left, 100-foot cliffs straight down into the river. On the right, 100-foot cliffs straight up. There's nowhere to go but the road. The wind shifts. Instead of a camel, it comes towards the donkey, and it books it right off the cliff. So they banned them, then they had to figure out what to do with them. Put them over there. A little further north. They put them on the opposite side of the river. Figured not much going on there back then. There's still not much going on there right now. They'll have a good summer and die in the winter. Oh, turns out camels are almost as hardy in the cold as they are in the heat. For multiple years, they regularly ransack Lillooet. They eat the food off farmers' fields, break into shops, attack people, run back in the woods for a couple weeks. And eventually, they got fed up and they sent out a hunting party to get them in what they dubbed the Great Camel War. Top of here is called Jackrock. Just a little one right now. Oh, they're not. ways, eh? No? Everyone's gonna be sad. This is also where I like to go over the safety talk again. Okay, so if you fall out, remember that gas reflex, okay? Totally natural, you're not having a panic attack. So if you treat it like a panic attack, okay, so just calm that breathing down, get back to the boat. Our aggressive swimming position, that head up front crawl. That's what you're going to do anytime you have a destination in mind. If I'm telling you to swim to the boat, if you're right next to the boat, whatever. Okay. Too far away from the boat, swim back to it, swim back to it. Okay, so if something does happen to one of their boats, okay, I'm gonna need you guys to be kind of like my extra eyes and extra hands. Okay? So I might be asking you to keep your eye out for those blue helmets and yellow life jackets floating down. Okay? Even if you think it's obvious and I see it, let me know. And then depending on where we are, I might drop the ladder down, or if they're just holding onto the side of the boat, you can't pull them in yet. I mean, it's not a place where I can even drop the ladder. All I'm going to do is bring it down and hold their shoulder strap while they hold on, just in case they might go. River up here where this train bridge is going over. This is where we used to have lunch. My first year guiding, we used this spot before the blowout. And man, it was nerve-wracking. Right? First year raft guide. And then this little rapid here called Tadpole, at most water levels was pretty flat. Like almost nothing going on. So the first rapid of the day was Frog. And at some levels, Frog is the biggest rapid on the river. So like, for first time rafters, it was a steep learning curve. A lot of queasiness after the burritos too. Okay, holding on. Tadpole. Double ambulance. Look at them go. Look at that beautiful spacing. Coming up, Holiday's going to be there taking photos. Okay, so don't look too scared. And with this one here, keep holding on with two hands. I'll tell you when you can let go and wave. Okay? But she's on the highway there, underneath that left big pine tree. Just barely steer. You'll be able to steer more when we get close. So we'll pull into the eddy down here for some photos, and then we'll watch and make sure that the first couple boats make it through Frog nice, and then we'll head on down. Some big waves at the top here, and then some big whirlpools at the bottom. Frog real fun right now. Holding on. Okay, look at Holiday, give her a big wave. Sweet. All right, now you guys get front row seats. So so this is one of those spots. At this level, it's not that likely that something happens to them. Gnarly swimming there, yeah. Here comes Tide. Boom! Tossed around way more than us. Nigel's got a good line. Ray's got a good line. Yeah, Allie's got a good line. And Jazz has a good line. Beautiful. So at high water, not every year, every 2 to 4 years, that rock in the middle is completely underwater. The peak historic flood, I think it was 74, it was 145,000 cubic feet per second. Those rectangle holes at the top of the highway wall, they had to fill them with sandbags. It's crazy. Totally different river at that level. Highest I've seen it is 120.
You hear the boulders rolling around underneath?
Oh yeah.
Isn't it wild?
Especially there's a rapid down there called Bad Attitude that's new since the 2021 flooding, or at least at this level. That one, right after the flood, it didn't even have to be high water, you could just hear it. It's crazy. Folks, this is Washboard. Not saying that it is more likely for you to fall out in this rapid, but if you do fall out, first thing you want to do is get back to this boat. You can't get back to this boat. You're going to swim left towards the highway. Okay, swim left towards the highway, and then I'll come pick you up. But it's not more likely. Pretty crazy rocks, eh? Yeah. A lot of weird whirlpools and boils in this one. It's called Green Pools. Sketchy. Oh yeah. When the highway washed out in 21, they surveyed from Lytton to Shaw Springs. 70% of the road is just built on sand. Nothing underneath, just sand. All right, folks, here's the Devil's Kitchen. We're gonna hit a big wave at the top called Jolly Green Giant. Go down the waves and dip into a whirlpool called the Kitchen Sink. Holding on. Woo! Now folks, just like at Frog, we're gonna watch the paddle boats come down. So this is like the most likely spot for something to happen. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. No, but we're gonna make sure no one goes further down. So the reason why I told you to swim left here is not to avoid that whirlpool. Trust me, I've tried. Not strong enough. I don't even think Michael Phelps could avoid that whirlpool. Okay? But downstream is cutting board. And on the right hand side is real gnarly. So our job is to make sure no one goes down that right hand side. So when the paddle boats do it, they do it a little bit differently. They hit that first wave, Jolly Green Giant, with some angle to the left side of the river, the right from where we're looking right now. And then they're gonna paddle to the right and honestly avoid a lot of those waves at the bottom so that they don't end up in the kitchen sink. Because although we can go right into it, they wouldn't have quite as good of a time as us. Oh, nice hit, guys. Great stuff. Sorry? Yeah, it's a little harder. Very nice.
So when it's 5 feet higher up, would it be worse?
That one gets smaller. That one gets bigger as the water drops until about 12,000 CFS, then it'll start getting smaller. For example, like right side cutting board here gets way bigger as the water drops. So below, like, I think the official cutoff is like 28,000 CFS. Above that, we run the right side. It's huge, scary, but it's really good. But now we just run the left. It's a really fast little shoot, still great. Holiday gets some amazing pictures right here. This left part here that we're gonna run through, the local, we call it cutting board, the locals call it meat market. Because all the salmon swim up this side here. So when dip netting's open, which it looks like someone's down there right now, they have this big long fishing net with a huge pole on it. Talking like 9-10 feet long. They put it in the water because the salmon will swim up right against the left shore there, trying to get upstream, so they can nab them real easy right there. Well, I say easy, but if you get like 2 in your net, you're in for a fight. Okay, so hold on, and when I say so, you can let go with one hand and wave at the camera. Wave! Holding on. There's the right side of cutting board. It doesn't look that bad from down here, but that hole up there is real retentive. So if a swimmer goes through there, they're gonna get worked around a little bit and flushed out the bottom relatively quick. But if a boat goes in there, it's gonna be in there for like 10-15 minutes. coming up next, we got Garburator. Just waiting for the top to be close. Big old boil at the bottom. Bit of a minefield in here. Rocks everywhere. Beautiful, they all made it through. Holding on for Garburator. The other day we had someone ask a question on the live stream about if you ever get stuck on rocks out here. The answer is really no. But right while Tyjo was answering that question, an unnamed guide of ours got stuck on that rock right there, like right as he was answering it. Okay, holding on. The water's good, but yeah, it's too cold. People just don't want to pay us. We'd do it. Oh yeah, Christmas Day, let's do it. Yeah, like the lowest it's been in 30 years is $5.5 grand. I ran it at that level. Beautiful. Absolutely amazing rafting. But in the winter, so there's one caveat just downstream of. I think it's just downstream of Jaws. It might be just upstream, but it's a common spot for the ice to collect. So if there's ice down there, then you can't run it. Because obviously if you swim upstream and you go underneath that ice, you're cooked or frozen. But as long as the ice is clear there, it's good to go. A lot of people kayak this in the winter. You're wearing a dry suit anyways, pogies or neoprene gloves. And it's like the only paddling you can do in the winter without going down to the island.
I just like you guys ever get shut down at surface when the water's so high.
No, because we got these. Yeah. So when the water's above 100 grand, we'll put those outriggers on, just like we do on the Fraser. And above 85 grand, we don't paddle. So we normally just close paddling for May and June because we don't know what the water's going to do. So like this year, we didn't even get above 85. So we just opened it a little early. Typically Canada Day is our opening paddle day. We'll paddle in April and power, and then just power May and June, and then both for the rest of the summer. Oh yeah. Whoa, almost fell in. Okay, holding on, this is the Witch's Cauldron. Same style that was tunnels this morning. That one we had them take it down because at high water is at the perfect level to cut a raft guy's head off. Yeah, flip us up. That was way back in the day. So yeah, this chunk here, so you see this new bridge, this washed out like massively in 2021. We used to actually go underneath the train tracks, the highway used to go under. And when that happened, it changed this next rapid a little bit, Gums of Life. So the biggest wave we'll hit in Gums of Life is actually new since then. We call that wave Pacific, and it's just starting to form. So the same flood that flooded Chilliwack and Abbotsford and Merritt flooded here. Most of the water coming down the Thompson came from the Nicola River. The Nicola right now, I would hazard a guess and say it's flowing at less than 300 cubic feet per second. It's about 10 cms. Thompson was flowing at 10,000 cubic feet per second, and then it went up to 70,000, all coming from the Nicola. The Nicola went from, it would have been like 300 CFS to 60,000 CFS overnight. Folks, I talked to folks that live along that highway. The highway was like done for 2 years. And they like woke up in the morning and they're like, oh, it was really loud today. When they step outside to have their morning cup of coffee, and normally the river's like 50 meters away and it's like their feet are wet. They're like, oh, honey, we gotta go! Yeah. They found a telephone pole from Merritt in Delta.
Really?
Yeah.
Remember raining that much?
All right, folks, here comes the Gums of Life and the Jaws of Death. That hole on the right we call Bus Eater. This is Pacific. To an extent, yeah. I normally go pretty aggressive, kind of my baseline. And then if folks are really cold or really scared or not having fun or frail or whatever, then I'll go a little smaller. More people is generally going to go faster, and it's honestly a little bit less to do with people paddling and more just to do with weight. Holds more momentum, sits lower in the water where the water's faster. Depending on the crew like we always say that a good Thompson guide, a good Kumsheen guide, can get down the river with a 20-foot boat, so bigger than those ones, with 10 people sitting there with no paddle. Now, it's going to be a very fun trip, but you're going to avoid a lot of things. You're going to miss a lot of things that you'd want to hit. So the paddlers really give it, like, they make the difference between, like, getting down the river and having fun getting down the river. There's a pretty big difference with how strong your crew is. Okay? A little bit with the paddle boats. There's a little more to it. Like if you hit something with a little bit of angle, you get more splash because it hits a different part of the boat. With these ones, a lot of it has to do with how fast you go, and then like this boat rises a lot. So if you notice, I'm often the other boats you throttle up the wave and then you throttle down to go down. With this one, if you do that, we just slam. Oh, they're having lunch. Private boaters. Yeah. River unhoused. No, it's just some private boaters. But whereas in this boat, I try to go up the wave and then throttle up so that I pitch the bow down and then hit it more. Yeah, that bridge was built by Scottish stonemasons. Scottish, yeah. In the 1880s. Well, designed by Scots, really put together by Chinese people. This is Pitquah Canyon here, and when they were building the railroad, they called this whole area the Jaws of Death, because how many people died right here. So when they were building this bridge, they were hanging off like ropes with stopper knots in them on 2x4s, 2x6s if you're lucky. And they used an ancient Scottish castle building technique, where on all the horizontal edges, they carve a semi-sphere into the top and then a semi-sphere into the bottom. And before putting them together, they put an iron cannonball in that void. So when the rain comes, the water seeps in through the rock, that iron cannonball rusts and expands and locks all the rocks together. You can see it's survived multiple train derailments. There's actually 2 or 3 train cars underneath us right now. Yeah. Basically, when the front of the train hits something, it's getting pulled at the front, but it's also getting pushed in the middle or the back. So when that front slows down, the middle lifts up, and then it comes down. So it could be rock, it could be, bad driving, hitting the brakes too hard. Beautiful, hey?
Perfect conditions.
It's great. It's one of the oldest and least maintained railroad bridges in the country. The only thing that I can find that they repaired were like safety things, like that guardrail on the side, and then actually all this concrete here was just repairing the cliff, not the bridge.
170 years.
Every single train that comes by the resort goes over that bridge. When I take railroad workers rafting, they hate when I talk about this bridge. They have no idea, right? They're just sitting in the train. They don't know how old everything is. They're like, what?
That's amazing. They don't have a train.
Yeah. Yeah, right? This is our staff cliff jumping rock. Real sporty. It's blown a few ligaments over the years. So you right up there, you pull the boat in, and then you wait for someone to get like close to the top, and the last person kicks the boat back into the current. And then you got no choice but to jump. Yeah. So then the first person, you try to do it so that the first person hit the water right as the boat's passing them. They swim to the boat and then they pull it in right here. But if that first person chickens out, it's a big legs. They're like getting back in way down there. We had someone in the chat ask if we speed up going into the rapids. We often do. Partially because the water is just getting faster, but also to get bigger splashes. Slow it down before so we can stay nice and close together, pick our line, set up well. Yeah, they just text me the question. We call this Export A Eddy. Okay? You know what Export A's are, I saw the look in your eye. So back in the day, when Bernie first started rafting this section, which would have been 75, was the first run through the gorge, it would take him 2 to 3 hours. Right? They'd get out and scout every rapid. The boats were what we now call bucket boats. They were just boats back then, but we call them bucket boats because they function like a bucket, as in they hold water, and you need a bucket to get all the water out. So they'd have to bail all the water out after every splash, basically. Once they were full of water, those boats they're tanks, right? They're really hard to flip, but they're really hard to maneuver as well. So when they got to the bottom here, they were quite relieved, right? It was cool. So they had a carton of Export A cigarettes in an ammo can back there. It was the mid-70s. Everybody smoked. It was good for you back then. Yeah, so you'd hop off the boat. Rafts are actually super flammable. So if it was a good crew, people are paddling hard, having fun, chatting, everyone would hop off the boat. The guide would give me a cigarette and have a cigarette be on the way. If it was a bad crew, the guide was really scared. They weren't paddling, they weren't working hard. The guide would go, "Come behind a tree. She can smoke a few." Yeah, those are all telegraph lines. The little glass insulator cups are quite a collector's item. And this is one of the last areas in North America where we still have some sitting on the poles. Because it's just so impossible to access. No. Right, like how's somebody gonna get right here? They gotta run the whole gorge, then go over, grab them. Yeah. How we doing? We cold? We warm? Heck yeah. Oh, you should move to the front. Yeah. That Ainsley Creek fire is just not slowing down in Boston Bar. Yeah, and it's just like, just staying right on the highway. Highway's been closed for like over a month. Well, you can kind of tell when they're thinking about it, because they'll change the updates from every 3 days to every, whatever, 24, 12, 8 hours. Right now, I think we're on a 24-hour cycle, so it's like a maybe.
Probably mostly power line stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Before they reopen, they got to put all that stuff up. There's a way higher rockfall hazard right after the fire. So they, like, when it closed last time for the Lytton fire in June, they opened it one lane so that you were on the river lane, so that if the rock fell, it was less likely to hit you. But if you look at, like, NASA has this thing called FIRMS, where you can look at infrared satellite imaging and it can tell you kind of where the fire is every day. And it's just not leaving the highway. It's just slowly, and it's slowly creeping south because it's fighting a prevailing wind coming from the south. Brutal. And it's actually like, there's a chunk of it that's like two or 3 kilometers away from the Nicola River, There's a chunk that's like 10 kilometers away from the Coquihalla Highway. It's really spread out. Yeah. Well, you made it through Frog and the Devil's Kitchen, the Jaws of Death. Now you got the real scary one here. Fluffy Bunny. That wave right there is probably the second tallest wave on the river right now, right after Jolly Green Giant. See if you can't hit it. I gotta kind of come at it from the side. Holding on. They're just moving around in the boat. And then sometimes you'll see the guide standing up like Jazz is right now, just to get more leverage on the oars. Higher your hands are, the deeper the blades are. It's sitting in faster moving water. So it's a bit hard to see right now, but on that rock on the left down there, there's a little cable draped over the top. Can't see it right now. I'll pull around the corner and we'll see it in a moment. That cable used to be another one of those bridges. Okay, like the same one we saw at Tunnels, we saw the remnants of it just down past Carburetor. And this one they took down, kayaker, because it was kind of falling apart. Okay, it wasn't looking so hot. And when they took it down, they left one cable up. You can see it right there. You'll be able to see it in a moment here. They left that one cable up and kind of figured they'd use it as a zip line to go from one side of the river to the other. Right? Just as they had to. But when they left it up, they never replaced the aeronautical marker. So a helicopter came to fill their bucket for a fire nearby and they dipped it in the water at Fluffy Bunny. Drifted downstream and got caught on that cable. Crash landed on the side of the hill there. Luckily the pilot was all right. Helicopter was in rough shape. And that old Kumsheen guide. And then also luckily, Bernie's brother, Fred Fandrich, owns Valley Helicopters out of Hope. And he was able to come down. So every morning, Bernie would drive a J-rig through the gorge, covered in helicopter parts, drop Fred off here. Fred would put all the old parts on it. Bernie would drive to the takeout. And then in the evenings, Fred would walk up to the highway and Bernie would go pick him up. They got it up and running in like a month. Yeah. Crazy.
I'm surprised you wouldn't get away with that.
Oh, no. Nowadays, it takes 2 people 12 hours to calibrate the rotors, which is like a regular maintenance job. Not like half rebuilding a crashed helicopter on the side of the river. Early 80s, I'd say. Oh yeah. Depends on the kayak. Yeah, I avoid a lot of things in my kayak for sure. I haven't kayaked it in the past couple of years. It's fun. It's real scary. It's swimming off of a raft is one thing, right? Just get back to the boat. Hold on to the boat. Boat's not going anywhere. That thing's not going to sink. Kayak? Good luck swimming holding onto a kayak. So I told you that you can't swim away from the kitchen sink in the Devil's Kitchen. My first year. Oh. I was kayaking. It was my first time kayaking to Thompson. And I kayaked quite a bit back then. and I flipped in the very first wave in Jolly Green Giant. I just lost all my momentum going up. And when you're in a kayak, if you have no momentum, you're flipping. And flipped over, couldn't roll, pulled skirt, and then I had to make a split-second decision. I thought to myself, okay, I can hold onto my kayak and ride this out, because the kayak still floats a little bit. Or I can let go of my kayak and swim as hard as I can and try to avoid the kitchen sink. And that's what I decided to do. But it was a bad move. I went right into that kitchen sink after I was exhausted from trying to swim away from it as hard as I could. Went right down to the bottom of the river, spent like 10 seconds down there. It was great. Holding on. So I went down to the bottom of the river and I opened my eyes and it's the exact same shade of dark green everywhere you look. You have no idea which way is up, but I was so deep. So remember in the safety dog I said the water on top is moving slower than the water just underneath? The water at the very bottom of the river is barely moving at all. It's making all those rocks down there slow everything down. So I was like so calm. It was like honestly one of the most zen moments of my entire life. I think it was a mix of just not moving at all and knowing that I had to conserve oxygen. So I was just sitting down there and then I felt the boil lift me up and then I looked up and I saw the light and then I started panicking. I was swimming up to the surface. That's a crazy feeling, trying to swim up when you're wearing a life jacket. But you do stuff like that enough and then you realize that swimming isn't really that big of a deal at all. That's a juvenile bald eagle over there on the right. We try not to point them around here. Sorry, I didn't tell you that. Right, in Confluence believe that bald eagles are reincarnated ancestors watching over us. Considered rude to point. Don't worry, Kia. It's also bad luck. So if anything happens the rest of the day, we know whose fault it was. And, oh yeah. Loose hips. Full upper lower body separation. So you're both moving side to side like this, but your body is staying right stacked on top of the boat. So your center of gravity doesn't go over. Yeah, bald eagles don't develop their white-headed tail until they're about 5 years old. This one's probably 4.5. Until then, they're brown with white spots. I hope you do. Hold it on. Hell, you won't remember. high water. I'm talking like 120, 130,000 cubic feet per second. That rock forms the single biggest wave that you'll ever see on the Thompson River. It's about as tall as the rock is right now. Oh, it's crazy. And it's so big. So there's things on this river that are semi-regulated, like right side cutting board that we don't go through right now, and jaws of death at higher water. This wave here is not regulated, so we do not hit. It is disgusting. Call it a boat breaker. And back in the day, the very first person that Bernie hired was this guy named Arpats. He was this crazy Hungarian guy. He would actually go by Crazy Arpats. He just walked up to Bernie one day. It used to be like that old bus, that old VW bus that's sitting at the resort on the side of the road with a raft on top. And Bernie's standing there with a cardboard sign, raft rides, $5. And Arpats walked up to him and was like, hey, I want in. So then Bernie taught him how to raft for a couple days, started sending him down the river, and Arpats worked here for quite a while. And he always wanted to not just hit that wave, but surf it. And not just with staff or with willing participants, but with guests. And this was back before we would power raft. So back when it was just paddling, in order to, big, decent sized trout just flew out of the water there. There's a bunch of midges hatching. And we used to tie the two paddle rafts side by side to get more horizontal stability, but then each guy only gets one oar. So it's a real team bonding activity to figure out how to guide like that. And year after year when the water was high, Arpats would ask Bernie, oh, can I surf that wave? Year after year, Bernie said no. And then one day, late May, early June, Arpats is out on the water with a rookie guide, and Bernie walks into his office, and Arpats' letter of resignation is sitting on his desk. And Bernie knows that that's bad. And that bad attitude there, Arpats and this rookie guide tie the boats back together. Arpats tells him the plan. Arpats picked a rookie because he knew that the rookie wouldn't have the guts to say no. They go in and they start surfing. And now this isn't exactly factual, but the legend has it that while they were surfing, you can imagine my chest is the way with my two hands in the boats. They lost their angle. They went up, and one boat closed on the other one, like a taco. Boats toss and toss and toss, and every once in a while someone falls out. Toss and toss, and someone falls out. They didn't get the last guest back in the boat until Rattlesnake, which is like 4 kilometers downstream here. But it was the 70s, it was ridiculous. Yeah. Well, that's even worse. It was good for us. You know what the best thing to do in the rain is? Go rafting, you're already wet. You guys want to get real wet and swim through this one? If you want, you can hold on to the side of the raft while we float down. You're good? year is like 120. Then all power rafting. Put a lot more people on these boats than the little ones. Something like that, yeah. Maybe 35 today. Yeah, so we call it the Devil's Gorge Motor Express. Us guys, we call it the dog meat. And we put in at Shaw, and we take on a Lytton, but we do it in an hour less. We were like gunning it the whole way. It's awesome shit. A lot of folks that gotta get out of here will do that. And we just do power rafting for that. Wetter than you. Little kayak? Yeah, little play boat. They're called. They're built for surfing, not much else. Then that longer one's a half slice. So the back is real thin, so you can. Oh, little fish just jumped. So you can, it's called stern squirt. Where you get your stern in the water right on an eddy line while that water's going down, and then you like woo, ride like that, spin around, and then flip normally. Next one's called Mother-in-Law. Beautiful little waterfall over there, eh? Next rapid is called Off the Wall. We're gonna hit a wave on the right-hand side called Trainwreck. But after, I'm gonna tell you about a hole in the middle named Dolphin Eater. How it got that name. All that white nonsense down there in the middle, just downstream of us, that's called Dolphin Eater. Bad time right now. Hold it on, we're gonna hit Trainwreck. Good time right now. Only event. We'll do what we call an APB run. Anything but boats. Go down the river on things that probably shouldn't go down a river this size. Like a boogie board with fins. Or one of those rafts with the floor removed. Yeah, he's good. I'll roll back up. That kid's a wicked guy. Or an inflatable pool dolphin. And one year that was our photographer's vessel of choice. Made it down the whole gorge. Doing great. Laughing, loving life. And came in there, water was a little higher. So remember I mentioned that our pads wanted to surf that wave? In whitewater there's surfing and there's getting surfed. Which are two very different experiences. The photographer got surfed in that hole. So she's stuck there. She's not leaving. She's holding on to this dolphin for dear life. She's like skipping on the water. Her head's above water most of the time. She's laughing, she's having fun. All of a sudden she gets sucked underwater. Everyone's looking around, waiting to see where she'll pop up. Way down here, rockets out of the water. Except for two hands, two plastic handles. No more nonsense. the cliff face that opposites our resort. And the main reason why the railroad was built on the south bank of the river. This is the most expensive and most dangerous stretch of railroad in Canada. Mainly due to rockfall. They got those chutes down there where the rocks can run over. That's what the tunnels rapid used to look like. And on the side here, they have all these poles. Those aren't power lines or telegraph lines or anything. They're actually rockfall sensors. There's little black nubs on the side of all these poles, going top to bottom. And then there's wires going horizontally, pole to pole, up the whole height. If the rock falls, it's anywhere near big enough to worry about, it breaks at least one of those cables. That sends a signal to the CN crew in Lytton, and they come and check it out. Now, if they find that rock is any smaller than a refrigerator, they call the conductor and tell them to speed up. Just smash it into a million pieces. Years ago, we had a really confused beaver that lived on this little sandy beach right here for the whole summer. Yeah, so lost. Must have washed down in high water and... No. There is a beaver. There was a beaver last winter, right up at the Bighorn Rapid this morning. Because there's you can see where it's chewed on those trees. No food, can't make a dam, can't make a lodge. Beautiful, it's nice. Gniss. It's a crumbly rock. We have a group of graduate students from Queens and Kingston. And every 3 to 5 years they'll come and check this place out. They got this crazy, geologists. They got this crazy drone, $100,000 setup with LiDAR and radar scanners, and they make a big 3D map of this whole thing. And it's partially for their own research and partially in conjunction with CN to figure out where all the rock fall is going to be next. They have to build a new chute, reinforce anything, yada yada. By their estimate, this 2.5 kilometer stretch receives 16,000 rock fall events every year. 16,000. That's over 40 a day. Some of those can be really small, a couple pebbles falling down. Some of them can be absolutely massive. If you stay at the resort for a few nights and drink your coffee in the wee hours of the morning, down looking at the water, you'll definitely see something. Number one cause of rockfall, bighorn sheep. Oh, it's about to get windy. formed by rain erosion. A long time ago, there would have been a rock sitting on the ground. Every time it rained, it ate away at the ground around the rock, but not directly underneath it, leaving that big pillar. Then eventually the wind comes and knocks the rock off the top. And then you got a hoodoo. Oh! Yep. Hopefully it's raining wherever the lightning is. So we'll have a couple new fires popping up today. It's a shame. I'm from Ontario, and thunderstorms there are awesome. Huge downpours of rain. Like, you step outside for 5 seconds, it's like you were in the shower for 5 minutes. Big booming thunder. No fires. Out here, there's thunder, and I'm like, oh my god. I love a big thunderstorm. Nice. Yeah, hey? That's gorgeous. There's a little scraggly looking tree right ahead. And back when it had needles on it before the 2021 fire, we used to tell people it was a bonsai tree donated by the Chinese railroad workers. And too many people believe that, considering that bonsai trees are Japanese, not Chinese. And they're also just regular trees in really small fonts. But apparently you start driving a boat and everything you say is true. Through here, and there's a bear fishing for salmon on the left side. And then when the raft passed by, the bear got real spooked, jumped into the water. And it tried to get into the boat, and luckily it missed. But its claws just scraped the side and tore a huge gash in the tube. Oh, nice. called pre-rinse. And after that is washing machine. Massive rock shelf on the left side of the river here. Right now, if you were wearing real heavy shoes and the water didn't sweep you away, you could probably walk about halfway across the river here. Even further down here. That's the 2021 fire. Was I here? I was on my day off. I was in Confluence. Luckily. Okay, holding on, folks. This is Washington. certainly not least, we have Terminator. We'll do this one a couple times.
Thompson River. Good job. Basically just gonna float to the takeout now.
a great blue heron right there. Kind of looks like a weird skinny rock. 2 of them in that little brown patch. 3, 1 right there. They're everywhere this year. It's crazy. I've never seen so many. I've seen more this year, like twice as many this year as I've seen the rest of my 5 years combined. Come up to the mighty Fraser. The takeout is just barely on the Fraser, so 2 rivers today for the price of 1. You're welcome. When we hit the takeout, you folks can hop out of the front of the boat. There'll be a truck there waiting for us. You guys can put all your gear in the back of that truck. Right from there, you can hop on the bus. Someone will join you, take you back to the resort. Folks off here. You can hop off the front, head to the truck, and I'll maybe see you back at the resort.
Thank you.
Thank you. First drive. More? Sweet. Thanks for watching, folks. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. It's a bit of a logistical and technical nightmare getting a live stream on a raft. But I think we'll be streaming tomorrow. Pushing off at about 11. We'll see you then. Thank you.
Can you catch me somehow? Nigel, send your oar to me. What? Send your oar to me.